in your book, you discuss setting boundaries and learning how to say no, and that it's necessary for trauma survivors. So I would love for you to kind of elaborate on that, about why it's important and how both of our communities can do that without feeling guilty or selfish, which is such a big feeling when you're making boundaries.
It's so hard. I mean, and again, setting boundaries, ongoing practice, really hard. So kudos to anyone going out there and trying to set boundaries, because I know how hard it is, especially with other people. But I think that it's important to remember that when we're hurting and when we're struggling, it's hard for us to show up for other people. And like when our pain consumes us, like it's it's hard to show up for others, and we may actually end up hurting others even if it is unintentional. Like I know that I've ghosted some people, and I've hurt others, even if it is, yeah, even if it is unintentional. Like when we're struggling, that's something that can happen. And in these moments, I think that it's like really crucial to advocate for yourself and your needs, because when we're feeling our best, we're in the best position to show up for other people, to be, better employees, better partners, better friends. Like, I truly believe that when we heal, everyone who is in our lives benefits from it as well, because we're adding value to our lives and theirs. I think it's like the best investment for everyone if you invest in your healing. So yeah, I truly believe that, advocating for yourself and healing is an act of love for both yourself and others. So I know that it's easier said than done to say, like, oh, don't feel selfish about setting boundaries, because it's like I even feel like that now. And of course there's nuance in every situation, and sometimes we need to compromise our needs to show up for others in moments that like really matter to them, because we you know we value the relationships and we need their relationship and their support to keep healing. So of course there's like nuance in all of this, but I think it's just like really important to remember that your needs matter, and that we're in the best position to support others and to show up for others and our communities if we are, ourselves in a good position.
Absolutely. And this just came to my mind, but like for me, I felt like part of the aspect of like starting to be okay with boundaries was when I saw other people in my life setting boundaries and it being okay with them, right? Did you see that as well in your journey?
You know, Not really.
Okay.
I think I feel like now we see there's a lot more conversation about boundaries, and I mean, I think thanks to like Instagram, TikTok, like, the content's like everywhere now. Um but I feel like, yeah, I think that it, like, I actually didn't witness a lot of it
Mm.
in my circles, and especially like professionally. Like I was a consultant for a while, and I always like served like my clients, and I was like, it was really hard for me to set boundaries with them, because it's like I depended on these people
Yeah,
to,
you're paying me. I need the
yeah,
money.
you're paying me. Yeah. And it didn't, and there were times when this, like, I had, and I talk about it in the book a little bit, but I had like this client who did not respect boundaries, who wanted us to do things that were like outside of the scope of work, basically doing work for free. And when I'd say, and then like I like pushed back and was like, no, my labor isn't free. Then they terminated the contract. And while that sucked, I was also like, wow, my life is a whole lot stressful now that I don't have this client just contacting me at all hours of the day and trying to get me to work around the clock. And so yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you think about boundaries, you think so much about in your personal relationships, but you make such a good point there with like work and how we feel so obligated to say yes to things because somebody is financially taking care of us, right? That's why like financial stability is so important because it allows you to have more power and authority over your life. And I mean, it just sounds like, I know it probably sucked at the time, but it was such a blessing in disguise, right? And a relief off your back when you finally like got rid of that client and didn't have to.
Oh yeah. It was like relief, but it was also like, okay, I need to find another way to make money. So it's like both, but then you know what? It opened up more opportunities there. So yeah, I mean, like you mentioned financial stability, and it's just like, I think that, you know, it's something that not a lot of people talk about, that a lot of, you know, that's a privilege. And I feel like me personally, am where I am now. Like I've benefited from all these privileges that I've had to be able to heal. And I just want to remind anyone who's watching that if you know, are dealing with like these other roadblocks in your life, to try to have compassion for yourself, because like the playing field is not even when it comes to healing. And I've had access to, you know, healthcare and therapy, and just like I feel like I've had so many resources that not everyone has. So again, to try not to compare your journey to other people's, and that, you know, there is still hope, in that. I wish that it didn't have to, that, you know, so much of healing didn't have to do with privilege, but unfortunately it does. So I hope that can change.
Yeah, I hope that can change too. But I think that, you know, bringing it up and making sure that people are aware of that is one of the first steps. And you know, it's very inspiring that you're aware of that and you know that healing is a privilege that not everybody necessarily has, which is why you do what you do, right? This is why you have the Instagram account. This is why you wrote your book, so that you can bring that knowledge to people and make it more accessible, so that people on their healing journey can start to heal more and have that hope, even if they can't have a therapist, right? Because 98% of healing happens outside of therapy.
Exactly.
Put that right around. As you also agree and write about in your book, healing is not one size fits all. And some things that work for some people won't necessarily work for others. And I love to ask our guests, what is something that has worked for you and what is something that was harmful for you in your healing journey, just so we can bring more awareness to that and make people understand that it's not one size fits all.
For sure. So one thing that was helpful for me, I mean, there were so many things that were helpful for me, but I'll just highlight one, because we were kind of talking about nightmares before, and that's imagery rehearsal therapy. And this is like, basically in a nutshell, it like has you rewriting the end of your dreams. And when I first learned about this, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Is this really going to work? Like, I was skeptical at first, but I was like, you know, I'm desperate. I'll try anything. So I gave it a try. And basically, I had like these reoccurring nightmares of me getting attacked. And I would always wake up like at the moment when I was about to get attacked in a panic. And this is a nightmare that I would just like always have. And I mean, it would play out in different ways, but that was always like the gist of it. Yeah. And through this process, for people who don't know, it's just you come up with different endings for the dream. So I woke up before the moment when I was about to get attacked. So then I would come up with alternate endings, like, oh, maybe the attacker like trips and like rolls down a hill, or maybe I fight back. So it's like you can have fun with it.
Yeah.
And about after a month of rewriting these dreams, like a different narrative started to set in, and it would play out in my dreams. So it's like, yeah, the attacker would be there, but in one dream, like my sister took a crate and like hit the hit the guy, and then I like got away fine. And another one, he was like climbing up the ladder, and then like I kicked the ladder. So it's like I stopped waking up in a panic at that moment. And yeah, at first I was like skeptical, but now I'm like, that really helped me. So I wanted to highlight that just in case any listeners can relate, because it may be helpful for them too.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I've never heard of this, but I know that a lot of people in the community deal with nightmares. So I'm really happy that you shared that because, number one, it seems really interesting. It does seem like, right, a little too simple. Like, no, of course that can't work. How could that work? But sometimes it is the simple things that
Right.
can make a big impact.
For sure, for sure. So, and it wasn't like the guy wasn't in my dreams again. It was like he was still there, but we were just like rewriting the story. And I love how you can kind of have fun with it and get creative and
And
coming up with
comical
like these
sometimes.
different endings. So, which was like weird at first, because it's like when you're having nightmares about something, you're just like, it's like tunnel vision. You're just like, this is horrible, this is what's going to happen. And so it's definitely a practice again. It's going to be really hard at first, but yeah, it can be really beneficial for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Okay,
sharing.
so the not helpful
Yeah.
thing, also something I want to highlight, because this is something that I think people just say is like, really beneficial to healing, but it did not work for me at all, is traditional meditation,
Mm,
like sitting meditation. And I've tried this multiple times on my healing journey, and like my first therapist had recommended it, and it made me like panicky, because I just felt like, and I know, like, it takes practice, and like all things, it takes practice. But even after I would try and try, and I kept practicing, and I was like, it's not working, I'd get frustrated with myself. And then it was just like not helpful for me at all. It just made me more anxious, more panicky, and more like frustrated and discouraged.
yeah.
But you know sitting meditation isn't the only way to practice mindfulness. Like, I found other ways to incorporate mindfulness into my regular activities, like being mindful when you're taking a shower, and like feeling like the warm water like trickle on your skin, and like the soap, and you smell it, you engage in your senses. Or like when you're brushing your teeth, or like going on a walking meditation. So yeah, traditional meditation, tried it several times throughout my healing journey. Not helpful at all for me, but there were different paths that I was able to take in the mindfulness world.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great example because I feel especially just trauma in general makes being able to just sit and be still and quiet your mind so difficult, right? So it does make it worse a lot of the times, and I know that a
Yeah.
lot of the community can relate with that. And